Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamdiri Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtake. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature, text number 20 onwards. Kvachit tattva marshina nivrittam bhayamulbanam anivritta nimittatva tattvatma putam pratyavatishtate. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again since its cause has not ceased. So in the previous words, these are the questions by Mother Devahuti, and she is saying, how can this soul, which is entangled so much in all this material bondage, everything is material and soul has completely entangled, immersed by it. How is it going to get freed? And then she says, even if the great fear of bondage is avoided, it may still appear again because the root cause has not been seized. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita states, Ichha Dvesha Samuthena. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is Ichha, which means desire to lord it over material nature or to be as great as a Supreme Lord. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. Dvesha means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all in all? I am as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. So desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord. And basically it's the envy of the Lord because we desire to be the Lord because we become envious of his position. As long as a philosopher, salvationist or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains, and there is no question of his liberation. So means a philosopher, jnani, salvationist or voidist, means those who are after mukti, even they cannot get liberated because the desire remains. Philosopher says he has desire to be supreme. A salvationist, he says to be everything, means we are same, and voidist say there is no God. Devahuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually as long as the cause exists, he is not free. The cause is a desire to become God or become envious of God. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. There is a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam 10.14.4 says that if one gives up all the auspicious path, gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Qestionti ye keval bodh labde. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. So jnani is ended by exhaustion. This example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So whether one follows Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, liberation is not complete. Why? Because the desire is still there. In Jnana Yoga, he wants to become one with, or in Dhyana Yoga, one wants to become one with God, and Jnana Yoga, he just denies the existence of God. So ultimately, it's not complete. And example is given here is the beating of, husking the skin of an empty paddy. What is the point? The rice is already gone. Means the the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not there. So the rest, whatever we do, it's just a useless labor because it's not going to get us anywhere. The relationship with God is not established. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Animitta Nimittena Swadharmena Malatmana Tivreya Mai Bhaktya Cha Shrut Sambhritya Chiram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection that by association with the material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, that does not mean he's a criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected, although he is in the material nature. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in the association with material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. So Prabhupada is supposed to be, although he never comes in contact with material nature. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with water, it does not mix with the water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead, Kapila Deva. So Lord Kapil Dev is describing that one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service. And by thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. By discharging devotional service, that service or engagement in devotional service gives one a protective covering, that he is not affected by the material nature. He is in the material nature, he lives in there, but he is not affected. Example Prabhupada is giving is of the lotus flower. Although lotus flower is born in water, not just water, it is born in mud, in kichad, panka. That's why it's called pankaj. But he is not touched by that water. So similarly, and another example Sridhar Swami is giving is one can remain in contact with the police department, but if he does not break the law, he's not going to get arrested or get punished just because he's in touch or in association with the police. So similarly, material nature, one can be in touch with the material nature, but if it does not break the law, does not get infected, does not get attached to the material then he's aloof from it actually. He is beyond it. One can be liberated from all adverse circumstances simply by seriously discharging devotional service. How this devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained here. In the beginning, one has to perform his prescribed duties with a clean mind. Clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. One has to perform his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. There is no necessity of changing one's prescribed duties. One simply has to act in Krishna consciousness. In discharging Krishna conscious duties, one should determine whether by his professional or occupational duties, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied. In another place in the Bhagavatam it is said, Samsthitasya dharmasya samsiddhya paritosha. Everyone has some prescribed duties to perform, but the perfection of such duties will be reached only if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is satisfied by such actions. For example, Arjuna's prescribed duty was to fight, and the perfection of his fighting was tested by the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna wanted him to fight, and when he fought for the satisfaction of the Lord, that was the perfection of his professional or devotional duty. On the other hand, when contrary to the wish of Krishna, he was not willing to fight, that was imperfect. So living in the material world is not a problem. It's just living, performing devotional service and doing our prescribed duties properly with a clean mind. Prabhupada says with a clean mind. Clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. So Arjuna had to kill his relatives, his grandfather, his teacher, his cousins, his nephews. Basically, they were all his relatives. But he was focused on Krishna. He was doing it as a service to Krishna. So when he fought, he was considered one of the best devotees. So we all have to perform our material duties. We all have to take care of our families. We all have to do some activities to maintain the family, to earn some money to keep up with the material life. But it is all possible if we remain Krishna conscious. First, we have to become Krishna conscious, and then we remain Krishna conscious. So the point is we do our sadhana properly, reading and hearing, and chanting properly. Then there is a chance that we can do both the duties properly. And then we should consider our material duties, so-called material duties, as duties given to us by Krishna. Arjuna had to consider the war as a service to Krishna. He was killing people as a service to Krishna. We have to just do our jobs or business and take care of our family as a service to Krishna. And this is very important, that one should not just give up his family and job whimsically. Because, it has been seen over and over again. We, in devotional service, we are very much in the neophyte stage. We might dress up very nicely in nice dhoti kurta or sari and nice kanti mala, very good tilak and bead bag and this and that, and do good Krishna katha and Harinam kirtan and this and that. But still, we are very much in the neophyte stage, very much. So in that stage, or in any stage in fact, but more so in neophyte stage, we do need Because man is a social animal. We do need uh, some support from our family. Because as a neophyte, how much we can support other devotees? Because we all have some shortcomings, lots of shortcomings, in fact. So it's always important. Until we become a brahmachari and we have given up everything and we take a sannyas, that's a different story. But for grihasthas, for the householders, it's very important. Take care of the family and be with the family because need the family. At the end of the day, family is always there to support us, to take care of us. So taking that family as a service to Krishna, as a responsibility given to me by Krishna. Maybe the family members are Krishna conscious, maybe they're not. But that is a service given to me by Krishna. So we look after the family nicely. But making sure our devotional service doesn't go down. So that's just a big responsibility Krishna has given us. That's all. If one wants to perfect his life, he should discharge his prescribed duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. One must act in Krishna consciousness, for such action will never produce any reaction. Animitta nimittena. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yagyarthat karmana anyatra. All activities should be performed simply for the yajna or the satisfaction of Vishnu. Anything done otherwise without the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yagya produces bondage. So here it is also prescribed by Kapila Muni that one can transcend material entanglement by acting in Krishna consciousness, which means seriously engaging in devotional service. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, instructions, etc. So this is the process of discharging devotional service. So long periods of time of hearing and chanting. So that is when the material engagements can get less entangling. So why? Because one's mind is absorbed in Krishna, Krishna Katha and Krishna Seva, Krishna Puja. There are two kinds of Shruti or scripture. One is spoken by the Lord and the other is spoken about the Lord and his devotees. Bhagavad Gita is the former and Srimad Bhagavatam the latter. So one is spoken by the Lord, so that is Shruti. Spoken about the Lord and his devotee, that is Smriti. One must hear these scriptures repeatedly from a reliable source in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of the three modes of material nature. So hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contaminations caused by the influences of the three modes of material nature. Even mode of goodness. So that is a contamination because it's a material mode. All the three modes, like the mode of ignorance is considered a shackle of iron. Mode of passion is considered a shackle of silver. And mode of goodness is considered a shackle of gold. Although it's a shackle of gold, but it is nevertheless a shackle. Shackle means one is binding us to the material world. So the mode of goodness is also a shackle. So all this contamination can be cleansed by hearing, chanting Lord Krishna. By continuous, regular hearing, the effects of the contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or lord it over material nature diminish. And when lust and greed diminish, one then becomes situated in the mode of goodness. This is a stage of Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from material entanglement. So to remain fixed, not just to reach the Brahman or transcendental platform, to remain there, that is more important. So for that, regular hearing is important. Regular hearing every day, not just for half an hour in the beginning of the day. The rest of the day also, we can take out some time to read and hear about Krishna. So otherwise, it's very, very difficult to remain Krishna conscious. Jnanena drishta tattvena vairagyena baliyasa tapo yuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhina. This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. Devotional service and Krishna consciousness cannot be performed blindly due to material emotion or mental concoction. It is specifically mentioned here that one has to perform devotional service in full knowledge by visualizing the absolute truth. We can understand about the absolute truth by evolving transcendental knowledge, and the result of such transcendental knowledge will be manifested by renunciation. That renunciation is not temporary or artificial, but is very strong. So hearing, again, transcendental knowledge comes from hearing and performing other limbs of devotional service, obviously. So what it leads to is renunciation. Renunciation from material world. That renunciation does not have to be external. It has to be internal. Heart has to be completely renounced. It is said that development of Krishna consciousness is exhibited by the proportion of material detachment or vairagya. If one does not separate himself from material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. Renunciation in Krishna consciousness is so strong that it cannot be deviated by any attractive illusion. One has to perform devotional service in full tapasya or austerity. One should fast on the 2 Ekadashi days, which fall on the 11th day of the waxing and waning moon, and on the birthdays of Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many such fasting days. Yoga means by controlling the senses and the mind. Yoga Indriya Samyama. Yogena implies that one is seriously absorbed in the self and is able, by the development of knowledge, to understand his constitutional position in relationship with the super self. In this way, one becomes fixed in devotional service and his faith cannot be shaken by any material allurement. So knowledge and renunciation, of course, they're the byproducts of devotional service, but this has to be very strong. Means devotional service has to be so strong that it gives rise to knowledge and renunciation. And renunciation, like Prabhupada said, should be not temporary or artificial, but is very strong. It should be very, very strong. And that's only possible if one is attached to Krishna. And tapasya has to be there. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we studied that dan tapasya, yajna dan tapasya should never be given up. So tapasya, Prabhupada says, for us tapasya is very easy actually. It's fasting on Ekadashi and appearance day of Lord Krishna, Ram, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nursing Day, disappearance days of Acharyas. They're just few fasting days. If we can do that properly, this is Kali Yuga. We cannot expect to do much austerity. So if we just fast properly, and another austerity that is recommended for us is chanting of the holy names. Of course, it is so sweet, it's not an austerity. But in the beginning, it could be an austerity to chant 16 rounds every day. So if we do this much austerity only, this much, not a whole lot. And other austerity is just following the 4 regulative principles. Even that is not a whole lot of austerity. If we do that even properly, we will definitely develop renunciation and knowledge. And hearing about Krishna so gives knowledge. So the knowledge and renunciation, along with devotional service, very, very important for one to remain fixed up. Fixed up in such a way that his faith cannot be shaken by any material allurement. So this whole purpose of Lord Kapil Dev's instruction is to make us detached from material allurement. So the way he will speak to Mother Devahuti and how is he explaining. And just like yesterday we were hearing about Hanumanji, Katha of Hanumanji, and we discussed how Bali and Sugriva took birth. So what happens in the heavenly planets. And over there also it is mentioned, in the Purana, wherever it is mentioned that if one hears this story, he'll definitely get detachment from going to the heavenly planets. He'll say, what in the world I have to go to heavenly planets for? If this is what is going on over there. Of course, they are all devotees. They all are devotees of the Lord. But being in the heavenly planet, being in, well, it is said those in the mode of goodness, they go to the heavenly planets. Urdhvam gachanti sattvasto. But over there is so much of opulence. Person is bound to get into mode of passion. So why go to heavenly planets and again get into all this kind of activities? So one develops renunciation by hearing properly and by performing some tapasya. So all these programs that is given by Srila Prabhupada, basically to increase our devotional service and increase renunciation and knowledge, renunciation from material world and knowledge about Krishna. So they all are geared towards making us a stronger devotee, advanced devotee. But we have to perform it properly, regularly, increase it and properly. And that will definitely have desired effect. So I'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question. It's regarding, like when Lord Krishna and Baldav, they returned back from their studies in the Gurukul under Sandapni Muni. And when, I mean, this episode was shown yesterday itself in Mahabharata. I think by Krishna calls Parashuram also. He invites in that Sandapni Rishi's ashram, and Parashuram says Krishna that you go back to Mathura because Jarasandh was attacking every time there. My question is, what was the reason that when he reached Mathura and I think he defeated Jarasandh, what was the reason of shifting the kingdom from Mathura to Dwaraka? Whereas at a later stage in Mahabharata, we have seen that Lord Krishna instructs Bhim to kill Jarasandh by tearing him apart and just throwing body on the opposite directions. Lord Krishna himself knows about it, that this is the way he get killed. Then why he didn't do that earlier? And I mean, the Mathura kingdom could be as it is. He doesn't have to move to Dwarka.
Oh, many questions and many reasons. Okay, first of all, their guru was Sandipni Muni, not Sandapni.
Sandeep, yes.
And that ashram is still there in Ujjain. If you go to Ujjain, Sandipni Muni ashram is still there where Krishna Balram went to study. A beautiful place, very beautiful place.
Yes, Prabhuji,
Okay,
I
so
recently happened to visit.
yeah, thank you. So when Krishna Balram came back and Jarasandha attacked, and Jarasandha was actually angry with Krishna because Jarasandha was father-in-law of Kansa. So he attacked Mathura. He brought one Akshohini Sena to attack Mathura. And Krishna and Balramji, basically they killed everybody and they defeated Jarasandha. The Jarasandha went back. So the reason Krishna didn't kill Jarasandha, there are many reasons. One reason was Krishna comes, he says, na, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So he said Jarasandha is going to go back and he's going to collect one more Akshini of these demons and he's going to bring. So why I should go around and look for all the demons? He's going to bring them along all of them so I can kill them at one time, in one go over here. Why I have to go look for all the demons? And another reason was, so 17 times he defeated Jarasandha like that. And every time Jarasandha would go back and collect more demons, soldiers, make the army, and bring again, and Krishna would again kill everybody. But what happened 17th time when he was defeated, he went back. Although he used to respect Brahmins and serve Brahmins a lot, but that time he was so disturbed. He collected the Brahmins in his kingdom and he told them, you give me the benediction that I will defeat Krishna, otherwise if I come back defeated again, I'm going to kill you all. So Brahmins gave him that benediction. So that is why Krishna did not kill him that time. And Krishna ran away from Mathura to Dwarka as a Ranachor. He's named as Ranachor Rai. Although Krishna tells Arjun himself in Bhagavad Gita, if you leave this battle, people will make fun of you, and you think Karna and Duryodhana, they'll say, oh, Arjuna was very compassionate, that's why he left. No, they'll make fun of you. They'll say, you are a eunuch, you have no power, that's why you ran away. And Krishna himself ran away from the battle. Of course, his running away, he also got killed. This demon on the way, Kalyavan got killed at that time. But this was his pastime. Krishna's every pastime is sweet. So then he comes to Dwarka. So Dwarka, the reason Dwarka was established was not that Krishna had to run away from Mathura. Dwarka is also one of his dhams from the spiritual world. So he had to bring Dwarka also. He brought Mathura and Vrindavan. Dwarka had to come down also for him to perform his pastimes. And so many pastimes he performed over there. See, the mood of devotees of Dwarka, especially the queens, 16,108 queens, mood of devotees of Mathura, mood of devotees of Vrindavan is completely different. And Krishna had to associate with all of them to satisfy everybody and perform his pastimes. And also, another reason was Krishna wanted to give the credit to Bhim for killing Jarasandha. Just like he gave credit to Arjun for killing all these warriors in Mahabharata. Krishna wants to give credit to his devotees. He doesn't want to take the credit as much as possible. So many reasons were there for him to run away.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
You're
It's a very, very good explanation. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
welcome.
Prabhuji, we read and we have discussed it on many occasions previously as well to kind of consider even the occupational service and everything as devotional service. I have a dilemma, Prabhuji, so I am asking you, please clarify my doubt. Uh, I know, in fact, our senses are contaminated and it's not perfect. It cannot be perfect. Uh, how do we know, in fact, whatever I am doing is actually kind of good for me or bad for me, and whether it's given by Krishna or not? I will give an example where I'm coming from, so you may be able to explain to me. For example, if we are doing a job, of course, it's given by Krishna only. But then, how do I know whether this is the job for me, and I should not switch over, or I should not look for other better opportunities in terms of, because that will be again more material attachments and all those stuff.
Well, if you think you can get a better job, you try. But if that job does not materialize, then you understand Krishna doesn't want you to go. Krishna wants you to stay here. And if it materializes, but you have to see, analyze if you're going to be spending more time, much more time than this job or not, and how it's going to be. Because if everything works out okay, then you understand it was Krishna's arrangement that he made. He got you a better offer. So you could spend same time or less time, but still get more income. Then why not?
At times it feels probably we are becoming greedy and kind of searching for more material comforts, and also is that causing more attachment or rebelling against
No,
Krishna's arrangement?
not really. Krishna doesn't want us to become lazy that we don't go for better opportunities. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we are doing our bhakti properly, sadhana bhakti properly. So then we remain aloof from the entanglement. It doesn't say we don't have to work hard. No, no, no. We have to. We can work hard. That's not a problem. But at the same time, if we insulate ourselves every morning by doing a sadhana properly, then we can take up any job, any engagement, no problem. Is it okay or still confused?
Slightly confused, Prabhuji. So I was just thinking because, so for example, in fact, even while having prashadam as well, where the normal tendency is we offer to the Lord and then have it, but at the back of the mind somewhere there's a like, for example, just an example, we offer something good to Krishna and then we'll also have something good then. I was just wondering if this is also material contamination, and are we
No,
trying to give
no,
it a
no,
spiritual name?
no, no. See in Gita, so now there are different gradations, categories of devotees. In Gita, Krishna says, "Yat karoshi yat dashnasi." And whatever you do, whatever you eat, you make an offering. And then following that verse, there is this verse, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So there are two different moods. So we are not at that level of Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yomi Bhaktya Preti. So we are at the level of whatever I eat, I offer. That is fine. That is fine. So we are slowly we are making progress. We cannot imitate surrendered devotees. The goal is that, but imitation should not be there. We understand our level and we make progress accordingly. We cannot imitate like
Thank
Sanatan
you, Prabhuji.
Goswami. He was just offering this burnt roti without even salt to Madan Gopalji. Madan Gopal had to ask him for salt, and Sanatana Goswami said, what is it? Today you are asking for salt, tomorrow you will ask for some sabji and then ghee. Where am I going to get all this? We're not at that level. So we slowly make progress. It's okay. It's completely okay. It's not the best. I'm not saying that's the best, but it's okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So, Lord Krishna says about bhakta that in bhakti also I have like the uttama, madhyama, and kanishta adhikari, something like that. Yeah. So, how can we define an uttama, madhyama, and kanishta adhikari?
That's a long answer. I'll give it tomorrow. Otherwise, it's in Prabhupada's books are there. I'll give it tomorrow.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so you all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Have a safe day also. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Krishna.